Hi, welcome to Ashley's Closet, and tonight we have another very exciting show. My first guest is Arthur Silber Jr. He wrote the book Sammy Davis Jr., Me and My Shadow. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, as I understand, this is like one of the only real authorized books on Sammy Davis Jr.
Authorized by my Brett.
That's right.
She accepted it. Yeah, it's written. It's a memoir rather than a biography. There's a big difference there. And this is about his life and my life and his story from when he was, let's say, nothing in show business to when he reached stardom. Yeah. And that's where I dropped off.
Well, you were his manager, assistant, lighting director, partner in business for 27 years. So you spent a lot of time with him, probably more than his wives.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely more than his wives.
So you know everything that went on, and you were with him from the beginning. And you met him through your dad, who was a big talent agent, Arthur Silber Sr.
Arthur Silber.
Arthur Silber, and you're the junior. Right?
Yeah.
You told me the story about how that happened. And so how did your dad introduce you to him? Was he his agent?
Well, and if I go too long, please feel free to stop me because there's a little story behind it. My dad was a performer in vaudeville. He knew that, and fairly well known, Silber North. He had met Will Maston way back then, way before I was born. Then when my father got out of the business, he went into New York and he started booking people for the Pan Time, the Pantages circuit. Okay, still same Pantages you see here.
Right.
He was the head booker for the Pan Time. And I'll jump now ahead.
Okay.
When he became an independent agent in Hollywood, he was a very big independent agent.
And who did he handle at the time?
Some of the people.
And you met them, I'm sure.
Yes. I can mention, well, some of the ones you'll know about. Maybe not be in the correct order, but I'll mention them. Jim Bowles was was a silent movie star, to call it, they went into the talkies. Then came Hopalong Cassidy. Then we have Martha Ray. We have Dorothy and Ruby Dandridge. We have
Dorothy Dandridge.
Dorothy Martin, Mary Martin, Ann Miller, Sammy, of course. I've just run out of names. I think that's enough.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's really good. So you met Sammy through him.
Yeah, Sammy. My dad, right after the Second World War, just after, my dad was putting on a small variety show for the 442nd Nisi people that served our country during the Second World War, and the show was to be put on Hawaii. Happened to be vacation time for me, and so Dad says, "You want to come along?" My first trip out of the country was during my summer vacation, so I went. Thus is how we met. We were the two young kids on the show.
Wow.
And it all started there.
So did he act like a father figure to you? Did he?
Who, Sammy?
Yeah.
No, I think it was the other way around.
No, Sammy to you.
Oh, Sammy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the father. Sammy never learned to read or write. He was very young. That's all in the book. Because if I start into those stories, we'll be here for 2 hours, at least.
He never learned to read or write.
No.
Never went to school.
He never went to school. So
he came from a poor
But while he
background.
was in the Army, though, his sergeant, because of the problems he was having, being a black man in the Army, started him reading, and Sammy turned into be a ferocious reader, would read everything, anything he could get his hands on, and could talk to you on any subject you wanted to talk on. Never did learn to write much more than "Good luck, Sammy, best wishes, Sammy." He printed out, signing his name. Basically, that was it, almost until the time I left.
And he was born Jewish, or he converted?
Converted, right after
because
the
of
automobile
his marriage
accident.
to? Who was he married to at the time?
He converted before he became married.
Okay.
He converted in the hospital. He started conversion in the hospital after he lost his eye.
Oh, okay.
Because the might say the in-house priest or whatever of the hospital at that particular time, or one of them, happened to be a rabbi. And Sammy was pretty close to death there for 3 days with that accident. We didn't know whether he was going to lose the second eye or not. It was pretty borderline. He lost more than his eye. He broke his nose and his knee. A lot of people don't know that. But anyway, so he started talking to the rabbi in the hospital. And something ticked in his brain. Even though he was raised by his grandmother Catholic, Sammy was never a true Catholic. And Sammy, as later in years, would go on to say that he just didn't believe in idols and things of that nature. And he really got in. So the rabbi would bring him books. And then Rabbi Magnin, who was a huge rabbi here in town, went out to visit Sammy in the hospital along with everybody else. And that he and Eddie Cantor were the big swings for Sammy into Judaism. Sammy did Eddie Cantor's show, the Colgate Comedy Hour, and he asked, Eddie Cantor was wearing a mezuzah, and Sammy asked him what it was, and Eddie Cantor explained it to him. There was a big tumult that happened. That Eddie Cantor pulled out his handkerchiefs and mopped off Sammy's brow, and the world went crazy, and the Third World War was going to start, and Eddie Cantor stood up to the world and Colgate, and the story is a very interesting one about the mezuzah. He wore it all the time. And
he always wore it. I remember, yeah, of course.
Yes, and but one night he took it off, was taking a shower, and it was the night before he had to come into L.A. to do the title song for Six Bridges to Cross, which Tony Curtis picture. And he took off the mezuzah to take his shower.
What happened?
And put it on the dresser, and it slipped off and fell on the side on the floor, and he forgot it when he came out. Now, he didn't realize it. And when he was when Eddie Cantor came to visit him in the hospital, who was one of the first visitors, he just came to him. Just then, he realized he didn't have the mezuzah, and secretly, these are stories. This is an aside story. Well, no, this one's in the book though about the mezuzah. He realized, he says, that's the only time I ever took the mezuzah off. It was the day he had the accident.
Wow.
The day he had the accident. Wow. So, psychologically, that could kind of spooky, but you never know.
Well, you used to travel with him, and you had to stay in certain hotels because they wouldn't let black people stay on the white side of town in the South, right?
Exactly.
And you had to go through this
Not only in the South, honey.
Where was it? Where else was it?
In the United States. So try New York City.
I thought it was just like that in the South.
No. Oh, no. Nevada?
This is after he became famous, or?
Pardon?
This is after he was, like, well-known?
What?
Sammy, when he had to stay in
no, Sammy's the one that broke the doors into staying in the other hotel.
Yeah.
That's what he did that one in Vegas. But we stayed in a hotel, the Americana in New York City, which was a black hotel, directly across the street from the stage entrance to the Palace Theater. Now that was a black hotel where I stayed with him. But I knew nothing about, I never had a racial thing. I didn't know anything about that until it started hitting me in the face. And I never had it being Jewish. I mean, I'm a valley boy. What did I know about, you and I know what I'm talking about.
Little sheltered.
What did I know about all of that, But then, but it's an experience to write, in writing the story, is to tell the story about it, what it's like. Usually it's what the person of color will tell you about staying in the white man's world.
Right.
You won't hear about the white man staying in the black man's world.
Right.
It's in a whole other ballgame. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the Apollo Theater. Way back. And it's an experience. It's an experience. It gives you a whole different view of life. Really
well, give me about a few minutes left. Some really wild stories. I know I'm going to say this, but it says in the book you shared women?
Yeah.
Like, was he married?
No. I'm going to separate that. It's funny how one chapter.
I'm trying to get some gossip here.
One chapter out of 32, you pick that one. Everybody does. You always ask, why Sammy? How many white girls and why, and so on and so forth. It's the second question I'm usually asked. The question is the same thing, and we're going through it right out here now with Colby.
Right.
It doesn't make any difference who you are. If you are a star in any field, you have followers. You don't have to go after.
Right.
All you have to do is open the door, let the first 10 come in and shut the door.
Right.
That's the way it was.
That's the groupies.
You said share women. No, not in the sense of the word you said it. Yes, making love to two different women at the same time in the same room, yes. But it wasn't orgy time like you think it was, and there wasn't much of that going on as you think. Is that one chapter you're talking about leads you to believe? And I cleared that chapter with my daughter before I put it in the book. I said, should I write it like it really was, or should I smooth the edges?
Well, you weren't married then, so
oh no.
Okay,
no,
so
I wasn't married.
Was he married when he had these affairs?
Oh no. He was never really married for more than 20 minutes. I mean, he was married to Mai longer than any of them.
Yeah.
And that was the one true love of his life and the biggest mistake of his life. The Kim Novak affair, which of course is the big thing that everybody wants to know about, didn't last that long.
No.
It was very, that was a sexual, animalistic kind of a relationship. My and Sammy was entirely different.
Yeah. Anyway, we got to go. One thing you want to say about Sammy right now, in one sentence?
One thing I want to say about Sammy,
Yeah.
because of all
here.
the stuff that's out right now,
Yeah.
Sammy has been terribly misunderstood and misrepresented. He never wanted to be white, as most people think he did.
Right.
All he wanted to be was equal.
Okay.
And that's about as much as I will carry that on.
Okay, well, thank you. You got to come back. Arthur
Thank
Silber Jr., Sammy Davis Jr., Me and My Shadow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for having
Come
me.
back, and we'll be right back.